All right.
All right, happy Friday, Steve. How are you today?
I'm good. It's Friday.
Yes, this is a good, it's not Good Friday, but this is a good Friday. It feels, I don't know, this afternoon has been pretty quiet around here, been able to get some stuff done.
Yep.
Just got to attend my niece's wedding
Ooh.
over Zoom. My niece lives up in Washington, and they had been trying to get this wedding and had been pushed off a couple times, and they finally said, "Forget it, we're just going to do this, and everybody can attend over Zoom." So it was actually pretty nice.
Yeah.
In fact, it was very nice. Not pretty nice. It was very nice.
It's a 2020 event.
Yep, for sure.
And hopefully it's not going to be a 2021 and 2022 events.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a beginning of 2021 event, but it sounds like, hopefully this thing gets dealt with in the first quarter of 2021. That's my hope at least.
Yeah. I agree. That is my hope.
So it feels like in the last week and a half since Thanksgiving, there's been some news. I think we talked about already. We discussed the PPP loan um, income potential hit to our clients, and I feel like we've got our arms around that, and we're actually in the process of reaching out to all of our clients to talk about, hey, if you got a PPP loan, you've got to be prepared for the fact that you're going to have some extra taxable income to deal with this year.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, it's some, other California news coming out, and then over the last couple of days, some federal news about a stimulus bill that sounds like it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess I would say on that PPP, that interesting thing that came out that I saw was there's been some uncertainty on, you know, um, can you deduct the expenses, which at this point, any money spent on a PPP loan, you cannot deduct. Um, but it also, this new notice basically said that if you have a reasonable expectation of having that loan forgiveness, you cannot deduct it with expenses paid with those funds. So it sounds like if you think you're going to get it forgiven in 2020, you cannot deduct the payroll expenses. So um, you don't need to wait. You can file if there's a reasonable expectation of forgiveness.
Yeah. Yep. And I think that's pretty easy to determine if there's a reasonable expectation of forgiveness.
Oh,
Did you spend the money on payroll? Did you meet the criteria? I'm helping a client right now with the easy form for PPP forgiveness.
yeah.
You basically just kind of have to certify that you didn't reduce your that you spent all the money on payroll, and
Mhm.
that you didn't reduce your head count. I think it only is available to loans of 150,000 or less, but it's pretty quick and easy to determine that, yeah, you've got reasonable expectation of forgiveness. So at this point, as we reach the end of the year, it's pretty clear
Yeah.
who's going to have to pay some tax on this money and who's not.
The other interesting thing that, and you brought this to my attention because I'm very aware of this, is the fiscal year filers and how California is going to treat that differently than Fed. So my understanding is if you're filing a 19 tax return, so if you have a tax return that's tax year that starts in 2019, say July 1st of 2019 and ends in June 30th, you're going to be filing the 2019 tax return right now. That for California purposes, you actually do make the expense deduction, and then you pick up the income in the following year. So it's for fiscal years. So California says, hey, we're going to conform for fiscal years that begin January 1st, 2020. If your fiscal year began prior, then you don't necessarily fall under the same forgiveness rules and conformity with the feds.
Yeah, just what we need: more uncertainty and complication. But the bottom line overview is those PPP loans are going to result in taxable income.
Yep.
So this federal bill that seems to have some momentum. It feels like we got through this election. There seems to be some relative certainty about that, and so as a result, the legislators have gotten on the same page. And even though they've got some disagreement, it sounds like there's a lot of momentum to get something done. So it's a second stimulus bill. I have not seen anything that talks about individuals getting another stimulus check.
Yeah.
It talks about, I'm reading this. There's 300 billion for another round of small business aid. I don't have any details on what that looks like. 160 billion for state and local governments. They're going to fund federal unemployment benefits at $300 per week. So I guess that's a specific direct aid to individuals, and then it talks about tens of billions of dollars to other priorities such as childcare, hunger, and vaccine distributions. So all that sounds, great, I guess. I mean, I'd leave that to the economists to figure out if this is going to help the economy, prevent from going into a free fall. The thing that I'm most interested in, that I think is applicable to every business and our clients who are businesses, is that this bill includes a temporary liability shield to insulate companies and other entities from coronavirus related lawsuits. I know that for us, we're doing our best to try and conform to the rules, but I got to tell you, these rules are changing like all the time. And so to try and conform and to try and 100% conform is almost impossible. And then if a business has an employee that gets sick, it would be so easy to litigate and kind of point out that, oh, they didn't, there's this one technicality that came out the week before I got sick and they didn't comply to that.
Right.
So I think it's a good idea to provide for this kind of liability limitation.
Sure. Absolutely. And I think it could, well, I would hope that maybe it would cause some things to open up a little bit more too. So
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. I know one other thing we saw, or I saw this week, is that Governor Newsom did announce some business incentives, which included some temporary tax relief. So if you have a business that files a sales tax return that reports less than $1 million in sales tax, that you have essentially 3 extra months to pay that sales tax. So kind of some temporary cash flow help there. And then one of the biggest things is that California will provide $500 million in new COVID-19 relief grants. So it sounds like that there's going to be offering $25,000 grants that are going to be starting up in early 2021.
Yeah. In addition to those grants, I read this story about this California Rebuilding Fund that's not a direct California government venture. It's a public-private venture where the banks themselves will be administering these funds.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of details on them. I think that the takeaway is, for our clients that are small businesses, is there are a lot of resources out there.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't just rely on what you see on the big network nightly news, which is talking about the PPP loans. There are local municipality programs. There's state of California. If you're a small business that's suffering and you're ready to close the doors, talk to us, or do some research on where you are specifically located. And there are a lot of things out there to help.
Well, like you just said, with the new federal stimulus, a lot of that's going to the local governments or the state governments, and they're going to be using those programs to disseminate the money out to people. So
Yeah,
it's not just PPP loans.
yeah. Anything else interesting going on?
Not that I can think of. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tax planning time right now. It's December 4th today, right before the end of the year. It's, time to do some tax planning. I know that I've got a long list of clients that I'm helping project taxes so they can at least be prepared. And this is an odd year to try and predict where people's taxable income and their taxes might land, but that's the season right now.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we have a couple of clients that we've met with and that we're meeting with, even just to have like like an hour-long meeting. Okay, where do you stand on this? Have you fully funded your retirement plan? Are you going to make any charitable donations? I think that there's some real value in, at least, even if we don't do a formal tax plan, having that conversation to make sure that they're maximizing various deductions that are available to them.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Steve. I think one of the things that you and I have always talked about over the years is it's very difficult for us as CPAs to meet our mission of being proactive with our clients. But I don't want to say that we don't achieve that, because I think we do, but it takes an effort on our part to be in touch with our clients ahead of time to know what's going on, as opposed to after the fact, talking with our clients in April,
Right.
learning about what happened in the previous year before the end of the year. So we are reaching out to clients, but I would encourage clients, pick up the phone and call us. We don't bill for these kind of conversations where we just say, hey, what happened this year? What's going on? What's new with you? 10, 15, 20-minute phone call to just catch up is super valuable, I think, for our clients. And as much as we are trying to reach out all the time, I would encourage our clients to pick up the phone, shoot us an email to touch base with us.
Well, I think and it's so much easier nowadays with this kind of technology. We can have these face-to-face calls without, getting in the car, driving over, or whatever. We can do Teams, we can do Zoom, we can have just a phone conversation. It's pretty easy to do.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a really good point to make, and this, especially at this time of year with close of the year coming up.
Yep.
All right. Well, I know next Friday, a week from today, we've got our firm retreat.
Yes.
Where we're retreating to the office. Not much of a retreat this year, but going to get together with all the staff and just kind of talk about how we're going to do things next year and some of the new technologies and things we're implementing. So we will most likely not be recording this next Friday, although hopefully we can find a time to connect on these topics either Thursday or maybe Monday of the following week or something like that. So
I think there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out between now and the end of the year. So
yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense.
All right.
Okay. Thanks.
Sounds good.
All right. Bye.